everybody, welcome back. In this session today, we're going to focus on the glutes. So our glutes have our gluteus maximus, our gluteus medius, our gluteus minimus that come more along the side of the glute. And then we have our deep hip rotators that lie within. Many of you have probably heard piriformis muscle, right? Because piriformis muscle relates a lot to our sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve runs in or near that piriformis muscle, and so if it is tight and squeezed, blood supply is not getting through, lymphatic system's not getting out, it may be squeezing on the piriformis muscle, or the piriformis may be squeezing on that sciatic nerve, causing that pain perhaps that you feel. So we are going to be rolling the entire area, loosening up the piriformis area as well. Once again, if in doubt, right, get things checked out. So if you are in severe pain, if rolling does not feel good, it doesn't seem to be helping, always get things checked out. Rolling is good for the majority of the people, the majority of the time, but there are some times that it's contraindicated. So rolling our glutes, we have a couple of options. So one would be to use the massage balls. And you could use two of them in a bag like the set that I have comes in, or you could place a couple of balls into a sock. Or this is where a foam roller can come in handy too. I don't use the foam roller much on calves and feet, things like that, because those are smaller areas of our body. You can use a foam roller, any type, any brand, on your glutes. And then preferably what I do, or just my own personal preference, is I use a single ball. And I go with a little bit bigger ball. It's going to be a little intense, a little less intense than a small ball. So a couple of balls is going to be less intense than a single. I find the foam rollers a little less intense than the balls. Other options, so if you are setting and you find it too intense, you can come to a wall. And so I will give you some demonstrations on how to use this rolling method on the wall as well. But with all that being said, let's get started. Let's start with our little bit of test. So a little stretching is going to loosen up the area, plus it's going to kind of just let us know how we're feeling. So one of the really great stretches for the glute area is that 4 stretch. You can do it sitting, but you can do it lying down. So if you'd like to start in this sitting position, you can bring one ankle over the opposite knee and then step the knee in closer to you. Press your chest forward, pressing in towards the leg that's up, the 4 position leg. Right, and just see how that feels. Nice, and then we can do the other side. I'm going to demonstrate the other side laying down. So that's another option. There are other glute stretches as well. This is just a pretty common one. So from the laying down position, I can wrap my hands around my hamstring, pull in. If this is too intense, right, I could simply keep the foot on the floor, press out on the inner thigh. Right, well, as we know, I'm definitely tight in that area. And you can hold each of these stretches, 30 seconds to a minute, 2 minutes. We're just kind of loosening things up a little bit here. Nice. And then we'll come on up, and we are ready to roll it out. We'll do some deeper, holding those stretches a little bit deeper, take a couple of extra stretches at the end. But let's go ahead and get started with our rolling. So if you'd like to stay down on the floor, you can grab the ball, bring it underneath the glute, and we start rolling. So I can hold myself up, and the more I hold myself up, the less intense that's going to feel. I can also come to the wall, which I will show you in a moment. Now, you can sit in a chair as well, or on a bench, but we don't want it to be soft, right? It's not going to work if you sit on your couch, because you're going to kind of sink into the couch cushions. But sitting on a hard surface chair or bench works great as well. So coming down onto the floor is just not a possibility. You can sit in that chair. So here I am seated. So I can take the seated position. I can also lay down. Sometimes I like to just lay down. It feels very relaxing, very shavasana-like. I can roll here. Now, a couple of things that I want to avoid, or one specific area that I want to avoid, is the tailbone. Right, so the tailbone's at the base of the spine, kind of right there, center between the two glutes. It's a very tender area of the body. They're the smaller bones. We don't want to sit and roll right on that tailbone. We can get some bruising. We could even, damage the bone a bit. So avoid the tailbone. But I can come up onto the back of the pelvis. So it's a little bit bonier area right at the top of the glute. I'm near bone. Right? It's not as much muscle tissue. So I do want to be softer. So I'm kind of holding myself up. I can roll a little bit over that SI joint, that connection between the sacrum and the back, that iliac crest, which is the back of the pelvis. So I'm holding myself up, not applying too much pressure here. Or you could go to a wall, and I will demonstrate the wall here in just a moment. We'll demonstrate the wall on the other side. How about that? That will be a great place to demonstrate the wall. I want to come onto the side of the glute. So rolling onto my side, I usually kind of hold myself up onto my elbow, but I could hold myself up more seated, and I'm massaging all along the gluteus maximus, the gluteus minimus. And then just like other areas of my body, right, I can roll back and forth, side to side, circular. I can pin and hold. So here I'm going to pin and hold. And maybe do just a little shifting. So I'm not so much rolling, I'm not moving the surface of my body over the ball. The ball is pushing into the muscle, and I'm shifting. Kind of like we did on the feet. If you watch the feet section, right, and we stepped on the ball and we twisted. So that same action here. So with the balls, I have more range of ways I can move. You can't always move as many different directions on the foam roller, so I really do like the balls, but a foam roller is a great sub for balls, especially in the glute areas. I don't like it as much on smaller areas of our body, but our glutes are a big muscle. I can play with the position of my leg. I can floss the leg, floss the limb, right? Move it around as I hold the ball in one position. And then we're just sticking to kind of that same rule of thumb, 5, 10, possibly 15 minutes, per area. Personally, just for me on my glutes, I usually spend between 5 and 8 minutes per glute. Just seems to be a magic number that works for me. You're gonna find what works for you. And there may be times you're like, I've got 2 minutes, but I really need to roll my glute, go for it. Right? It doesn't have to be 5 minutes. It's not all or nothing. Every little bit adds up. Nice. And then we'll just switch to the other glutes. You're more than welcome to stay on the floor or in that chair. I'm just gonna come to a wall to demonstrate it here. Same, bringing the ball behind me onto the gluteus maximus. I can take a few steps away, and I can roll here. So using a wall comes in super handy. Maybe you're at a gym, you just did a workout, you're like, okay, I need to stretch, but I really don't want to lay on the floor. Right? So you can do some standing stretches, you can do some wall rolling. I do like to use the wall when I'm coming over that iliac crest into the sacrum because I have a lot more control on how much pressure I'm putting in. Remember, big baggy clothing, so I have a tighter fitting shirt. Big baggy clothing can get kind of tangled up in the ball, so you can always kind of move that out of the way a bit or just kind of hold it tight, or wear tighter clothing when you roll, or sports bra, things like that. If you're a female, males, right, you could just not have a shirt on, something like that as well. Get out to the side of my hip here. So basically, in a preventative kind of thought pattern, we want to give pretty equal amount of time to both sides of our body and do the same thing on both sides. So I'm standing on the side, I was on the floor on the other side just for the purposes of this video, right? But if you did the wall on one side, wall on the other, floor, right? Keeping your body about the same. That's preventative. It's just good maintenance. If, however, you are recovering from an injury after you've had like the go-ahead from your doctor, you may want to spend a little more time in the area that is a little sore, a little tighter, recovering. Or perhaps, right, maybe this side of my glute is like really tight for whatever reason. I bruised it, I strained it, you know, whatever. With my doctor's permission, maybe this side I do on the wall, and then I can do the other side on the floor. So it's not that they always have to be the exact same. The kind of maintenance, you know, we want to keep our body equal, you know, to a certain extent. But we all know, right, the different types of our body feel different, and maybe one glute is just tighter and sitting on the wall is too much. Yet coming to the wall is just right. So find that place that's just right for you. And then you go at your own time frame. Right? You can pause the video, roll longer than I roll. You can turn the video off, roll less than I roll. You get to do what feels good to you. Now, some of the other tools that we've used on our feet and our calves, the stick roller, I find that really hard to use on the glute. You know, you're trying to reach and stick roll, so you can give it a try. There's nothing wrong with it, but I find it very difficult. It's hard to kind of wash out yourself. And I also tend to just not use wash out on the meatier areas of the body because I want to push in. I want to get a little bit deeper stretch. But washing over that SI joint, like that could be fabulous, but it's a little bit harder maybe to do it yourself, depending on your shoulder flexibility, and you just can't see back there as well. But you could take the little wash out tool and do a little scraping action, you know, around the bonier area of that sacrum. Give it a try. But just my own preference, I usually use the balls or the foam roller as a sub for massaging the glute area. I love the balls too because they're really easy to throw in a suitcase, take them when you travel. They don't take up very much room. All right, so hopefully your glutes are feeling a little bit looser just from that, you know, 5-ish minutes or so on each side. But we are going to now do a little deeper stretching. We're going to start with that 4 stretch where we were, and then take it a little bit more into the glute from there. So choose a leg, your choice. We'll cross one ankle over, scoot our glute towards our heel, pull our shoulder blades down our back, gently press the lifted leg away. And then hold. We want to hold for 30 seconds or so here at a minimum. Great. We could hold much longer. Remember that cotton ball visualization. If you took a cotton ball and you stretch it slowly and, you know, just a little bit, it holds its new shape. But if we go too far with the stretch, or we stretch it too fast, pull too strong, it breaks, right? It can actually tear. And so we want to come into the stretch and hold. Nice. And then from here, maybe to take the stretch a little bit deeper, I'm going to bring the bottom leg down on the ground and start to let the top leg lay on top of it. So that leg that was just crossed, now I'm in a fire log position. My legs are stuck like fire logs. This may be too much of a stretch for you. You don't have to take it. And I can wiggle around a little bit and then just walk my hands forward. And think about pulling the crown of your head forward as you do this. You're getting a deep stretch into the head. You don't have to come all the way down, but just maybe lift it. You don't have to do all of these stretches, or you could choose just one and hold. I'm just doing a little series of 3 to get all into the glute. And then come on up, and then I'm gonna work to come into shoelace by pulling this top knee on top of my bottom knee. Again, this may be too intense. This gets a little deeper into the hips, really kind of into that outer side, that gluteus maximus and minimus. And then I can stay seated or hinge forward, keeping the chest up as I come deeper into the hip stretch. One of the reasons I really like to stretch at least more deeply after rolling is because it does loosen up the muscles some, and it's not as intense feeling on the stretch. But with that being said, I'm still not trying to like set any records here on stretching. It's not about how far can I take the stretch. It's about coming into the beginning of those sensations and holding there. And giving the body time to kind of create a new normal for itself. And then we'll come on up and we'll take those 3 stretches through the other side. So crossing the opposite leg over. Remember, you could do this lying down as well. Scoot forward, lift the chest. Think about pressing the knee away, pulling the shoulder blades down the back, opening the heart a bit. And noticing in my stretches too, if one side feels tighter than the other, then that's kind of a clue to myself that I want to spend a little extra time rolling that side. So rolling is fabulous for injury prevention, because if our fascia and our muscles, right, all of the tissue will want to come here, lay the leg across, right, if they're dried up, if they're tight, and I'm playing my sport or I'm running, whatever it is, cycling that I may be doing, and I do fall, right, a tight, dried up kind of fascial area is going to be more likely to tear and injure than a healthy, a lubricated, a juicy area, if you will. So we don't want to just wait until we're injured and work on repairing. We want to be preventative. Maybe coming up here, crossing that knee towards the top of the other knee. Right, this stretch may be a little too intense and I don't have to take it. Hinging forward, chest up. Giving the glutes time to release. Once again, remember that our body is very interconnected. So just because I roll my glutes, I may still have some tightness in my hips. It may be coming from my hip flexors. It may be coming from my low back, my hamstrings. So it is a whole process. I'm just breaking it down into pieces for the purposes of the videos, so that it's not, just one long 4-hour video. And then come on up. And that is it, my friends. So I hope that your glutes feel better than when you started. Have a fabulous day, and I will see you back here for another session soon. Thank you.